Be honest, are you wondering if freelancing is even worth it? Maybe you've started working with lower paying clients, you're spending hours on projects, and you're not sure that you're even capable of landing that higher paying work that you're dreaming of. If it feels like everybody else has it figured out and you're just frustrated and you're on the verge of giving up, I am going to give you some tough love and harsh truth. Yes, most freelancers do feel this way, and a portion of those freelancers do give up. This does not have to be your story. Today, I'm going to break down exactly why most freelancers quit and how you can avoid those mistakes and actually build the freelance career that you initially dreamed of, that you set out to accomplish when you first got this idea. And make sure you stay till the end, because there's one sneaky mindset that I see so often with freelancers. It's such a sabotaging issue, but many freelancers don't even realize that they think this way. And it's something that I definitely fell into as well. And I can't wait to share with you how to overcome that. I recently got a message from this freelancer who used one of the templates in my freelance template playbook to land a $3,000 client. And it got me to reflecting on all of the freelancers I've worked with in the past 3 to 4 years. Some succeed and have amazing glowing reviews and testimonials, and some continue to struggle. That's just the reality. So today I want to show you what I see consistently with the freelancers who are succeeding. There are commonalities between them. The ones that are consistently landing high paying clients, and how you can start to develop these traits, mindset, skills yourself. One of the biggest issues I see for anybody who wants to become self-employed, start landing higher paying clients, and work location independent, live life on their own terms with this flexible schedule, is that they just don't even know where to start. Most freelancers today are overwhelmed with the sheer amount of information out there telling them do this, do that, that doesn't work, this works. It is overwhelming. And the sheer amount of advice available out there leads to analysis paralysis and just freelancers kind of giving up before they've even got an opportunity to start. Now, as someone who has also tried and failed at things, I think the one thing I wish I could go back and tell myself is that you need a roadmap, right? Instead of consuming tidbits of information from YouTube and educating yourself from all these different viewpoints and hearing what all the podcasters have to say, ask yourself, am I following a structured roadmap that has distinct steps that get me from point A to point B? So for example, in my 5-step freedom framework, I lay out how freelancers can choose their niche, get clear on their positioning, build a web presence around that positioning, and then begin to reach out to clients and basically scale from there. Once you get that first high paying client, how do we rinse and repeat that process? Real quick, if you're finding this information helpful and you're serious about landing higher paying clients and reaching your freelance income goals, my signature program, 30 Days to Paid, is now available as a live group coaching cohort. 30 Days to Paid is a 5-step framework that helps you create your online presence, land high paying clients, and build a sustainable freelance business. It's a self-paced course, but in 2025, I'm going to be offering a done with you cohort, coaching sessions, accountability, helping you stay on track, and personalized feedback that allows you to land those higher paying clients faster. You'll also be in a cohort with a group of supportive freelancers who have the exact same goals and can offer you that support, so you are not in this alone. The next cohort is starting soon. Click the link down below in the description to join the waitlist to know when enrollment opens. There's only going to be 20 spots available, so if you're ready to take action, do not hesitate. Click that link below. A large part of succeeding with the roadmap, though, is being willing to take imperfect action. I think what stops a lot of us up is thinking that we need to have everything figured out before we start, but in reality, we figure things out as we go. So if you're not going, you're not going to figure it out, and that is the paradox. The other reason why freelancers quit is that they assume, or they convince themselves, or they think that this is just too competitive. They think that freelancing, is saturated. There's too many people doing it. There's too many people offering that service. So they give up when things aren't happening quick enough, and they assume it's because there's just too many people trying to do it and they can't compare. And what I see a lot with the students that I work with and the people that I coach is that they'll get to a certain point where they'll choose their niche, build a website, but when it comes to actually getting out there and communicating with clients, they'll begin to look around at everybody who's doing what they're doing. They tend to follow people on social media or get on email lists that make freelancers look at the service providers, their colleagues who are doing it bigger and better, and they just assume, and they fall into this comparison trap that convinces them that they shouldn't even try because they'll never be good enough. Now, I can give you all the pep talk and personal development and mindset stuff to help you overcome this, comparison trap, but on a really tangible, practical level, what I tell freelancers to do is get really clear on what makes you unique. So having a niche and specializing in a certain skill set that's helping a certain target demographic is always going to help you stand out more. And then from there, you can get even more clear about, within that niche, why are you different? It might feel like there's so many people doing what you're doing, but honestly, I find that that is an illusion. I know that when I first started putting myself out there online, I just assumed that everybody, had already consumed all of the content of my quote unquote competitors, and that there was so much bigger creators online talking about the same topics that I was talking about. But in reality, a lot of the people that come to me for help either haven't even heard of the people that I was thinking about, or they just didn't really mesh or gel with those other creators, despite them having the same quote unquote information or a similar approach or teaching a similar subject matter. So don't underestimate your uniqueness and the fact that becoming a service provider business is a relationship business. And by way of it being relationships, no one's going to offer exactly the same experience and have that same personality and vibe that you have. So understanding that, yes, there are other people doing what you're doing, that's okay. That means that there's a demand for it, or else there wouldn't be a market around it, right? So don't psych yourself out. And one of the best things I did for myself was to not look at other people doing what I'm doing so that I wouldn't fall into that comparison trap. Next is the I'm not ready mindset. This can sometimes be perfectionism masquerading as practicality, but what it also comes down to is like a delusion that there's going to be some magical time in the future where all of the stars align and everything falls into place, allowing this perfect opportunity to open up to allow you to go after your dreams, right? So it's just, we have this distortion or this faulty mindset that there's going to be a moment where we arrive and we're somehow going to feel ready and confident. But often that moment only actually arises once you throw yourself into something and make yourself uncomfortable until you've mastered the thing. The truth is, there is always going to be something that makes not an ideal time to start that thing you want to start. There's always going to be a relationship issue, a time constraint, you not looking the way you want to look, you not feeling like you have enough information. I mean, at least one of these things is always going to be at play. Waiting to have everything perfect or to have all your ducks in a row before you start something just leads to you never actually doing the thing and there never being the actual moment. And I can say with certainty that with any goal I've had, my biggest regret has always been just not starting sooner, right? It's like compound interest. For people who are wanting to save for retirement and they start at age 50, they're wishing they had just put what little they could away when they were 20 years old, because by now it would have been so much bigger at the age of 50. So we want to take advantage of compound interest and say, it's not going to be perfect, but at least I would have started something and eventually it'll grow. Start small and gain confidence through action. That's truly the only way to actually do the thing you want to do. And that feels counterintuitive, but I also think that's why many people just never actually pursue the thing that they want to do. They're just waiting for this perfect time that just never comes. And to look back at your life and not do the thing you wanted to do because of excuses that weren't even real, that's tough. So I don't want you to fall into that trap. Now, this next one is super common, which is I hate self-promotion. I hate selling myself. I don't want to put myself out there. I hate feeling salesy. I'm introverted. They're all kind of in that universe. It's natural to feel uncomfortable singing our own praises, talking about our accomplishments. That's why even, job interviews are pretty uncomfortable, right? You have to kind of sell yourself to get the job and be able to talk about yourself. And it feels awkward and braggadocious and weird for a lot of us. Asking for stuff is something else that also can be uncomfortable for a lot of us. Making the ask can be very intimidating. The other issue, and this is something I had to overcome with a lot of sales training in my prior career before I switched over to freelancing and doing what I do now, but we assume that because we wouldn't like someone to approach us in a certain way, that we can't approach people in a certain way. And what I mean by that is that if you absolutely hate getting sales calls, but then somebody asks you, hey, can you make sales calls for my company? You're going to feel like, wait, no, I wouldn't want that done to me, so I don't want to do it. If you hate receiving messages on LinkedIn of people pitching you for products you don't want, it's going to feel really antithetical and wrong for you to start pitching your services to people in that way. And this is really important, whether it's with pitching, whether it's with pricing. Don't assume that everybody thinks the way you think and has the same preferences you have. So for example, if you're about to ask somebody for $1,000, if you're about to charge $1,000 for writing services, but you know you wouldn't pay someone $1,000 to write something for you, you're not going to have the confidence to actually ask for that money because you're basically looking at the situation from the standpoint of your own wallet, your own budget, and your own bank account. But that person on the other end, that marketing person who hires freelancers and spends thousands of dollars on writing services, you two don't have the same vantage point. So it's just like that with selling and self promotion. Maybe like I know for me, I used to sometimes judge people who got online and like were, filming themselves and taking selfies. And I thought that's pretty narcissistic and self centered and shallow. And I had all of these judgments that when it came time for me to market my business and show up online, I had to overcome all of the judgment that I had put on other people. And that made it harder for me to put myself out there because I'm assuming that everybody's judging me in that way, when in reality, nobody freaking cares. So one of the best ways to overcome this is to actually realize that when you're messaging somebody, you're pitching somebody, you're actually helping them solve a problem that they may be struggling with at this exact moment. There have been multiple times where I have pitch somebody my freelance writing services, and the response I get is, we were actually looking for somebody at this exact moment. This is really great timing. So instead of thinking that you're bothering somebody or being sleazy and salesy, reframe it to say they might need the exact service that I'm offering at this moment. And if it's going to be anybody who they hire, why not me? Maybe I am helping somebody and not selling them. Also, if you're really against selling yourself and being self-promotional, there are other ways to talk about yourself in a way that's not uncomfortable. So whether it's case studies or telling stories about the work that you've done for clients and the results you've gotten them, that's a way that you can market and sell yourself without feeling like you're attracting a ton of attention to yourself or being conceited or narcissistic. Okay, now this is the biggest one. This is the sneakiest form of self-sabotage that I come across in freelancers and have experienced myself, is that I'm afraid I won't have the time to freelance. Now, I have a ton of amazing time management tips that I can offer. For example, knowing when you tend to be sharpest. So if that's the mornings or the evenings, and kind of prioritizing those peak hours to get the most work done. There's also a lot to be said for having pressure and deadlines and being able to perform well when you know you only have an allotted amount of time to complete something, right? So when I first started freelancing, I would kind of give clients like these long lead times because I was so freaked out and scared that I wouldn't hit the deadline and complete it in time. And gradually I found out that if I actually shortened the window and promised them that I'd have it within 3 to 4 days versus like 5 to 7, that I would just get what I needed to get done within that 3 to 4 days, no matter what. So it's like, it's your urgency and your efficiency and your quality of work. It becomes a necessity versus all of the procrastination and overthinking and over tweaking and over editing that happens when you give yourself long lead times. But I don't want to focus so much on time management. I think anyone can just Google that and look that up. But what I have found is there's the concerned people tell me in coaching conversations where they're like, I don't know if I'll have time. I'm afraid I won't be able to manage this. And what I'm hearing underneath that statement is, I'm afraid of success. I have this fear of success. Instead of taking challenges as they come, we get into our head and think, if this goes the way I'm wanting it to go, I might not be able to follow through or achieve it, or I might fail. It's this fear that if we get what we want, we'll somehow screw it up or drop the ball or fumble it, right? I know even for me, when I was starting my digital products business alongside my freelance business, one of the big concerns was like, well, if I am enrolling people into my course and I'm mentoring other freelancers, what if there's this huge influx that I just can't handle on top of my freelancing work? What if I just am completely overwhelmed? And I had a coach at the time tell me, listen, you're going to do what you got to do to get it done, and that's it. And I appreciated her candor because what I was afraid of never actually happened. At every stage of the game, I have found ways to get everything done that I need to get done without sacrificing quality. And it was never too much like I feared it would be. We are more adaptable than we think, and we have to give ourselves more credit and actually just believe that, hey, whatever happens, I will rise to the occasion. We don't have to see every step laid out perfectly in front of us to go after what we want to go after. You have to remind yourself that you have navigated challenges in the past and you figured it out, and this is going to be no different. Those are the mindsets that I have come across in myself and my own freelance business and through mentoring hundreds of freelancers and working one-to-one with freelancers and coaching. I hope this video was helpful. Before you go, remember that waitlist for the live 30 days to paid cohort is in the description below. This is your chance to work with me live, stay accountable, learn exactly how to land freelance clients, even if you are just starting out. Remember that this cohort is capped at 20 participants. Obviously, it is me working with my coaching students, so I have to keep it small enough so that I can help each person individually. Sign up for that waitlist below so you can be the first to know and get those updates in your inbox about when that's going to be open. Bye.